Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MIT Scale Admissions Expert live webinar. My name is Robert Cummings, and I support the Supply Chain Management program here at MIT. And with me are my colleagues from across our Scale network, who will introduce it to you in just a moment. As you know, the Scale network is the #1 ranked supply chain and logistics community with leading edge research and education centers dedicated to the development and dissemination of global innovation. Today, we are going to open it up to questions from the YouTube live audience here. Just send your questions and we'll be able to answer them after our introductions. So Marta, why don't we start with you first?
Thank you, Robert. So, hello, everyone. My name is Marta Romero. I'm the director of the international programs at the Zaragoza Logistics Center in Spain. Just so to give you a background information about our center, it was created in 2003, so it was the first affiliated center with MIT CTL. So our program, our residential program, has been going on for 14 years now. And we now have 2 other programs that you may be aware of, the 3-continent program together with the Ningbo Institute, one of the other affiliated Scale centers, and also the blended program, same as MIT SEM. I will be happy to take any of your questions and happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Melanie Winter. I'm the study program administrator for the Luxembourg Center for Logistics. So we created that center as part of the University of Luxembourg 2 years ago, and we have welcomed our first cohort of students last September. What's unique about Luxembourg is that it's a really tiny country, but located at the center of Europe, and Luxembourg City is a small country, but huge in terms of opportunities and business. And our students also enjoy the mix of culture here, with like around 40% of people living there are from foreign countries. So there's really a good mix of people there and great opportunities for you guys. So I will be happy to take any of your questions about living there and also the program and career opportunities in Luxembourg.
Hi, my name is David Bayliss, and I'm the director of the master's program at the Malaysia Institute for Supply Chain Innovation, also known as MISI or MISI. To give you some background, MISI started as a joint venture between the MIT and the government of Malaysia, and was launched by the Prime Minister of Malaysia in March 2011 as the 4th centre in the MIT Global Scale Network. We are located in Shah Alam, which is about 30 kilometres from Kuala Lumpur. And in Shah, we've created a very attractive campus environment, which far exceeds international standards for our students and faculty members. Just to give you a few reasons why students come to study at MISI in Southeast Asia. Obviously, we offer the world-class education of a 9-month master's program, which follows the MIT Global Scale Network with MIT faculty. And of course, within the curriculum, students spend 1 semester of the program here at MIT. Regarding career development, Asia has many career opportunities due to the lack of supply chain talent in Asia. And for some students, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to expand their global horizons, understanding the dynamics of the Asian community and economy. From a budget point of view, the cost of the MISI program and the cost of living is more affordable than other programs. And we do offer scholarships. And finally, come to Malaysia. Malaysia offers a great opportunity to discover and integrate with the Malaysian community. And Malaysia is a truly amazing and dynamic country. I myself have lived there for more than 20 years, and I strongly recommend you to come and see and discover for yourself while pursuing a world-class education on the master's program.
And as I mentioned, my name is Robert Cummings. I work here at MIT supporting our supply chain management blended program. But here at MIT, we have two programs that were basically the foundation for the Scale network. Our long-term program is our supply chain management residential program, which caters to students who are interested in a 10-month education here fully on campus. Our blended program was just launched this past year with our first cohort starting just a few weeks ago as a joint venture also with the Zaragoza program. So both of these programs are crafted for students interested in furthering their experience in supply chain management and logistics. We offer 2 degree tracks within each program. One is the Master's of Engineering, which requires a thesis, is a little more intensive. And then the other is a Master's of Applied Science, which requires a capstone project that's done in pairs here at MIT. One of the most rewarding parts of joining the program here at MIT is you do get to experience that real MIT culture of innovation and the spirit of all the students here that are looking forward to further advance their careers and contribute to all of MIT's projects and research that is done here that is very compelling. So I think we have probably the easiest sell to get students to come here because MIT is such a huge draw. Yep, if we have any questions about the admissions process, I'm happy to answer questions for MIT.
Hi, my name is David Hidalgo. I am part of the GCLOG program, which is the Graduate Certificate in Logistics and Supply Chain Management program, which is slightly different from the rest of the programs. It's not a master program, but it requires the student to be enrolled in a master. So undergrads, unfortunately, we cannot take, but the GCLOG offers the opportunity to students who are currently enrolled in a master program to develop 2 3-week seminars here at MIT, and also offering the opportunity to follow up on a capstone project, which is a research intensive project in a whole semester. And yeah, it takes more or less 1 semester to complete the program. So any questions, happy to take them.
So now we'll field some questions from our host behind the scenes, Sam.
Sure. There's a question about the 3C program. Is it STEM certified? And who is the awarding institution? And how old is the program?
Okay, yeah, so the 3C program, as you may know, it's a brand new program. So together with the center in Ningbo, it was launched last year. The degree will be conferred by the University of Zaragoza. So it's a degree that is offered by our institute. Also, the MIT Scale Network will issue a certificate upon graduation. But students will get the opportunity to experience life in 3 different continents. So you could spend the fall term in Zaragoza in Spain. Now that in January, when we all come together here at MIT, just to give you an indication, now there's over 200 students who come from the different programs and the different centers. And then you will get to spend the spring term in Ningbo, China.
We got a question about the video statement. Maybe one of you could tackle what you're looking for in the video statement and how that is used as far as the admission process.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to comment on the video statement. It is a critical part of our application and a component that is unique to the supply chain management program here at MIT. So the video statement is really an opportunity to describe your interest and background. We have some question prompts within the application for you to answer. And it's really a complement to your statement of objectives. We use it both in the residential program and the blended program and all of our programs here to get a good sense of how you're able to deliver yourself. Because one of the key components of the program will be presentations throughout your time here at MIT. So it's a really good intro for that 2-minute period to sort of get that background and be able to deliver sort of your interest to the admissions committee. So that's really our first impression of you. So it is a serious component to think about.
That is all the questions we have. Can you ask them to go on the chat?
Sure.
I don't know if they can.
Yeah, and just remember, if you have any questions, please go to the chat function within YouTube Live and send us your questions. we're happy to answer anything that comes your way.
While we're waiting to see if there's any more questions, how about we talk about Scale Connect Conference? Just kind of go around the room and talk about something you like about it.
Should I start?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So the Scale Connect conference that's happening now is a huge opportunity for our students to get together, to get connected. It's a networking event where it's like 200 people in here, which is a huge opportunity to exchange ideas, to talk about the research they're currently doing, to talk a little bit about their background, their careers, and what they expect to do later on in the future. So,
yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I've had just from we've reached the halfway point now in the Scale Connect conference. I think just the breadth of knowledge that we get from all of the speaker series and the different lectures that we have going on. I myself am new to the field of supply chain, so learning about all of the different ways in which logistics can be done sort of across the globe is really an interesting part for me, and I feel like that's a big takeaway that the students also learn as well.
Well, having spoken to some of the students from MISI, the biggest feedback is how they're able to integrate with all the other centres. They've been split into teams from the very first day. And so we have somebody from every centre in each of the teams. And basically the networking, as you said earlier, has been a massive asset to all the students, having to understand the different centres and work together in a group and a team to solve whatever the issue is.
Well, must have been said already, but I totally agree with you guys that the networking opportunities is the main thing here. Like having to interact with people with different backgrounds and also different mindsets is really enriching for all of our students, from the youngest to the oldest ones. And also here, especially in Boston, as you said, like smart is in the air, and you get to meet a lot of people smart, open-minded, and really keen on sharing with you. So that's, besides the IAP itself, it's also great opportunities here. And also, of course, the course content itself is really interesting for our students.
Yeah, what can I add
It's
to
hard
all
to
of
go
them?
last.
So, of course, I agree with all of them that networking opportunity is very key for our students, and they're very grateful. They get to know one another very well during the course of the 3 weeks. The students are split in different teams, so they get the opportunity to work with different people from the different centers. And also, so the main focus of the 3 weeks is leadership. So besides the classes and also the tours and the talks by senior experts and MIT faculty professors, we also have a Fresh Connection and Apex competition. So that gets the opportunity also for the students to further on their leadership skills, as well as a course on leadership itself.
Great. And the questions are coming in now. So one question is about, can you apply for more than one program through the same application?
Yes, you can apply to all the programs. In Grad Apply, you get the opportunity to select which program you're applying for. So if you're interested in applying for all of them, go ahead and apply. And we will take the admissions separately. So you will be receiving maybe multiple admission decisions. But yes, you can apply to all the programs if you want.
Except for
GCLOC, yeah, that will be the only difference. Anyway, the timing for GCLOC is also different. So yeah, that's it.
Is Luxembourg planning on having a blended program like Spain and the US?
It's something that we consider, and not for the next intake in September, definitely, perhaps for the next one in 2019. That's in the pipe.
Okay. And then a lot of people are asking for like a profile of a Scale network student, like age, number of years of work experience. Could you kind of speak, maybe, David, about a typical profile of a student?
What we look for in a candidate. Okay, so when we evaluate the applications for admission, the first thing we actually look for is how passionate somebody is in supply chain management. That's something that really stands out. Together with Obviously, they have to be confident in successfully completing the program. Then we start looking at their qualifications, their GMAT or GRE scores or MicroMaster scores, as we have now. We look at their degree, whether it be in engineering, science, statistics, or, we look at the CGPA within the degree. And besides the application, we look at the student's resume. We look at their work experience, specifically if it's been in supply chain management. For IELTS, IELTS and TOEFL, if graduates have basic degrees from either US or Canada, basically where the universities themselves, the teaching instruction is English, we don't necessarily need the IELTS or TOEFL. The other points of the application, we need 3 referees, and one of the referees ideally should come from your immediate supervisor, who is the best person to give a referee on you. And then, if necessary, we will have an interview, whether it's a Skype or a telephone call. So they're the key criteria that we're specifically looking for. But having said all that, and I'm sure all centres the same, show us what's unique about you. If you don't fill all the criteria that I've just talked about, show us what's unique about you, and what assets or entrepreneurial skills you've got, and this may well give you the edge to coming onto the program.
Okay, thanks. It says the Luxembourg program website says there's a possible 2-year visa extension. Is that only for Luxembourg or all of the EU?
That would be for Luxembourg, and then with the Schengen Convention, I know for sure that you can travel in other country, but to get a work permit, that would be another story.
Okay, thanks.
But this for just for that question, competent authority in each country can reply to that.
And we have a question about the application itself. It says, do you write down things by semester or by subjects taken? Do you know in GradApply?
Well, there is a section on subjects taken, so that would just be the courses that you've taken in your career. A lot of times, like if you've taken 2 parts to a class, then you can list it twice, because that would mean that you've received 2 separate grades. I think that should answer it. Yeah.
What about the skill sets necessary? Like what sort of technologies do they need to be familiar with before coming into the program, as far as like computer applications or things like that? Are there any minimum requirements for that?
I don't think there's any minimum requirement.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, as long as you can use a laptop.
Yeah, and basic command on Excels.
Yeah, and if there are competencies that are required, we usually go over those, at least in the supply chain residential program. During our orientation, we have lectures on softwares that are available, and even right now we have a software seminar that's going on to sort of give students the knowledge of things that are available, but it may not be necessary that you use it for these particular classes. It's just that you can use it in the future.
I think it's the same for all the programs.
Okay. This one's about the Luxembourg program again. How are students doing landing internships or jobs? How has the industry responded to the new program?
So within the master program, there is no internship that is required, but the students have to write the thesis with an industry partner. What we offer is a multi-scale assistance, let's say, for our students to find either an internship after the degree, but more commonly a job directly. So the Luxembourg Center for Logistics itself has one person that is devoted to help the students finding a job, and also at this level of the faculty and the university, we have a specific career center for that purpose. But also, as I said, Luxembourg offers a lot of networking opportunity, and we invite our students to a lot of networking events. The LCL, so the Luxembourg Center for Logistics, also has its own in-house created events like the Explore Conference, that is an annual event in March, but also a series of seminar during the year targeted for the students. And apart from that, the business industries offer plenty of networking events all along the year. So with all that, our students are set, basically.
Great. There's some questions about the video. Can the video be edited? Like, can it be more than one shot, or does it need to be one continuous shot?
In recent discussions, we've talked about making the video more casual. It doesn't have to be a full sort of production value video. It can be just you sitting at your desk responding to our questions just in a very natural format. I think that is usually received well because it shows that you don't have to prepare too far in advance. You can sort of speak on the spot about the questions and the skills that we're looking for. But that being said, if you do require multiple takes, I mean, it is understood. So all videos are taken into consideration.
We have a question here asking if the MISSI program will be looking into doing a blended version as well.
We have a very similar program to the blended version. We call it the MSCM-X program. The only difference is the MSCM-X students, they begin in November rather than start the program in January. But apart from that, it's identical. That's the only difference.
What is the job market looking like for Spain?
Okay, so when the students come over here in January and they get to meet the SCM students, the process is completely different. So the students here in the US start getting interviews right from the start. In Spain, it happens in the spring. We've had a number of companies that came already to interview some of the students in the spring, but usually we start in February. So we will have the majority of the companies come and present what they have to offer to the students. We've been very lucky for the 14 past years. So the recognition of the program worldwide nowadays, so 14 years in a row that the program has been taught, and the recognition by the rankings. So we have a number of companies that do come year after year. We've been lucky also that these companies have recruited our students. So our students have become alumni who are the best ambassadors of the program. So they're also coming to recruit with their companies. So the idea is to get the opportunity to bring in more companies every time. But we also like to stress the fact that we try to help the students finding a job, but the responsibility of finding a job remains the student.
Okay, and we got a couple more questions concerned about like the specificity of test scores. Mm-hmm. And David, I think you spoke to this a little bit. If you could maybe talk more about how if you don't match one of the criteria exactly, maybe there's something else that could make up for that.
Yeah, as I say, we look for the when we look at a student, we take everything into consideration. They might have a good career in supply chain management. They could have other skills that would set them apart from other people. Yes, they may have, in some cases, they may have a lower GRE or GMAT score. To qualify for a scholarship, we may ask them to retake it to get a higher score. But certainly we look at their CGPA on their degree, and we would look at all aspects of that particular candidate to consider.
Great. We have some questions here about, can you go back into the application and make changes? My understanding is you can, right? Like if they want to add more programs that they want to apply to or make other changes.
Before they submit the application, they can do all the changes they can.
Yeah, before you click submit, you can change anything. After you click submit, certain fields will be limited. So I don't believe you can go back and add an additional program in that moment. But our scale manager, Mark Colvin, usually reaches out to students who may be interested in considering other scale networks. Mm-hmm. And you would receive an email to see if you want to be considered for these other programs.
If they wanted to be more proactive than that, could they just send an email to Mark maybe, and Mark behind the scenes could add them to a
Yeah, I believe to the general scale email, just scale@mit.edu. So yeah, if you submitted and you realize you forgot to select one of the programs that you were interested in, if you email scale@mit.edu, you can be added to more programs.
there's a question here about the video statement again of what questions they should answer. I think it's the same questions on the Scale website for all the centers, correct?
I believe so.
And that can be found in the admissions section of the Scale website.
Yes, the questions are all the same across all of our programs, even possibly the GC-Log. Yes, I think we have the same prompts for all three.
What are the scholarship opportunities for the blended program in Spain?
Well, I'm afraid to tell you that there are no funding opportunities for the blended program. We do have a very good scholarship program for the residential program, but so far for the blended program, there is not, I'm afraid.
I feel like the one benefit though is comes at a lower cost compared to.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
I need only 5 months.
And then how important is it knowing your thesis topic before entering the program?
Well, in the case of MISI, I know about the other centres, but we liaise with our business partners, and it's the business partners that put the thesis topics on the table for students to select. And the business partners actually sponsor the students. So the students, in the case of MISI, when they return from IAP, they will be starting a 1-week internship with the sponsors. So it might be different with other centres, but certainly at MISI, it's the business partners that put forward the topics.
Yeah, for us, it's a bit different when it comes to the blended program. So the blended students will have to come up with a proposal. So in the current class, we have 17 students, and what we decided it was best to do, it was to pair them up so that they would work as a team. So we kind of did a ranking among the projects that were presented by the students, so they get the opportunity to decide on the topic. For the CLOG program, as David was mentioning, so we work with our partners, so the topics are decided by the companies. And also for the 3C program, it's then again different, so the students will have to come up with a project by themselves. In this case, the students are working on their own, so we have, for our new cohort, 7 students, we only have one of the projects where there is 2 students who had similar research interest, but that's the main difference among the 3 programs that we have.
And you'll notice these differences within the application. As Marta mentioned, for the blended programs, students or applicants are required to submit a proposal as part of the admissions process. So it's very clear upfront that the applicants are responsible for their projects, as opposed to the residential programs where we work with company sponsors.
Yeah, also, sorry, Sam, just to add upon this. So if you see that poster behind my colleagues, so this is for the big event that we are holding next week, the Research Expo. So the students will get the opportunity to present their thesis or their capstone projects. I mean, these are like initial results that they will have, because of course, they need to submit their final findings by May, end of May. But this is really a good opportunity for them to network with senior executives as well.
Yeah, just to add up, the difference with GSLOG is that the IAP, the presentation they will do is the final results, because the graduation is happening at the end of January. And in our case, the capstone ideas are delivered by the researcher at MIT.
We have a couple questions here about what's the same and different at all the centers. So like, is the curriculum basically the same at the different centers? Yes, so that's all that for that question. Like, is there some consistency amongst all the centers as far as the curriculum?
I think the curriculum is the same, but the weighting might be slightly different. So what I mean by that is that at MISI, our curriculum to graduate, you need 48 credit units. I think at ZLC it's 60, is it?
68, yeah.
And I think at CTL it's 90, is it? So although the curriculum is exactly the same, they'll find on the website, it's the weighting of the different courses that's slightly, it's a slight variance.
So the content's the same.
Yes, the content's the same, yeah.
And Sam has actually put together a comparison chart on our Scale website, which lists sort of these different variables within all of our programs. So it's a nice way to compare what you might expect at each center.
Is there a possibility, I know that, Is there a possibility that MIT may start a fall intake for blended students?
At this time, no. I do not foresee that being a possibility just because of the way the program is structured. So IAP is really the period right now in January, really links all of the programs together. So in order to fit with MIT's fall and spring term curriculum, the blended students would almost always have to start in the spring term.
And then what's going to happen with the blended students with job opportunities if most of the hiring is done in the fall?
Yeah, so that is one component that we make sure students are aware of. They have to be more proactive as part of the blended program in order to get job opportunities. We also have a career advisor here on campus who will help out all the students with job searching, resumes, sort of mock interviews and things like that. But we do make it clear that all of our major push for recruiting occurs in the fall term. So it is a factor for students to take into consideration when applying between the residential and blended programs here at MIT. So if you do want more focused attention on recruiting and meeting with prospective employers, especially if you're earlier on in your career, then the residential program may be a better path for you. The blended program often has more students who are already set in their careers, so they may not be looking for new job opportunities. They could be going back to their existing companies, which is one difference between the two programs.
If you can share, or if you know, or if it's been decided, someone's wondering about the intake numbers for next year's classes.
Wow.
Well, at this point, I think that none of us know. So the first round of applications were submitted by November 15th, and we have some students admitted to the program. For our program in particular, so the students tend to apply late, so they will apply for during the third round. So we have a deadline coming up, which is February 1st. So if you're in the middle of completing your application, there's still time for you to complete it and submit it. Otherwise, the next one is April 1st. In our program, I know that it really depends on the program and on the visa requirements. So for us, if you're an international student needing a visa, you should not submit your application anytime later than May 15th. If you're European, you can submit your application even if it's July 15th. If you're ready to come in 2 weeks, that's fine by us.
I think that's the key, isn't it? The visa. If you need a visa, you need to make allowance for the visa.
Yes.
Basically.
As early as possible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think we give that same advice to the students here at MIT. We have the same deadlines, February 1st and April 1st coming up, but international students are always strongly advised to apply by the February 1st deadline because we start opening up visa applications in April. So with MIT, or the US has lengthy visa application requirements that could take several months. So we want to make sure students have enough time.
And do you see Scale students go on after becoming Scale Network graduates to get higher degrees, MBAs and PhDs? Is that a path that any of your students have taken?
Well, we have an example here.
Myself, I was part of the GCLOG 2 years ago, and now I'm part of the PhD program in Zaragoza, and spending 1 year here at MIT. And many of our students also in GCLOG, they have been also admitted to different PhD programs. Also, Leo Gomez, another graduate from GCLOG, is also a PhD candidate now at CLC. And there are many more going to different MBAs and different PhDs.
Yeah, we do have, in fact, several dual degree programs so that students can complete an MBA and our program. And also we have a partnership with Feng Chia University's more an entrepreneurship program. But yes, you can complete like both masters and get a dual degree from us. So if you're interested in getting more information, it's available on the web, but I'm happy to take any questions by email too.
And at MIT, we've restructured our program just this year with our 2 degree tracks. So one, the Master of Engineering degree that requires a thesis. This is geared towards students who are looking for that PhD and more heavy research experience. So that will really set them up to be a good candidate for future PhD applications.
I have a question here about proof of funding, which I believe we're the SCM's the only
Yes.
person doing that. Will loans and can loans and scholarships be applied toward the proof of
Yes.
funding?
Yes. So the proof of funding is a somewhat newer requirement, but we use this to ensure, particularly for our international students, to make sure we're giving spots to students who are able to afford the program. So yes, we do consider loans and other fellowships, either from MIT or from elsewhere, as part of that loan consideration. And it shouldn't be seen as a major obstacle because students had always been required to submit this documentation anyways, because the US government is required to make sure you have funding to live here. We just require it a little bit earlier on to make sure that students are thinking about that in advance and that you have the funding needed to enroll here at MIT and to get your visa approved.
We have someone here interested in hearing more about the 3C program and the advantages of studying in the 3 different areas. And I think that's about all you can answer to this question. They have some more parts, but because it's the first year, you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't know. And actually, so the Zaragoza part is covered because the students are actually taking classes together with the CELOC students. And we're learning as we go, as it is the first year. Same goes for the blended program. It's our first year. So we're learning together with the students and we're finding out more things. So, I mean, for me, it's a tremendous opportunity that you get to study in 3 different continents, 3 different cities, and to get exposed to this richness. It's like a big plus. Also for your curriculum, the fact that you've been studying in 3 different countries and that most of the people are also from a different country is going to give a good indication for you in the job market. If the students are looking for employment in Zaragoza, so we have a person that is fully dedicated also to help the students, then we can also help. If they want to work in Asia, then our colleagues in NIMBO will help them out. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity.
In the end, that's what we're doing, supply chain management, of things from all over the world.
There's a follow-up question. Is the PhD option only available in Zaragoza?
No, Luxembourg as well.
Luxembourg, we're starting the PhD program this year.
Okay.
It hasn't started yet. We have to get MQA, Malaysian Qualifications Agency approval first. But yes, we're starting one in MISI as well.
And MIT has a plethora of PhD opportunities. For opportunities in logistics and supply chain, our sort of host department is the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. So students interested in pursuing a PhD can go through their application process, and we would then be notified of supply chain management PhD students.
And I think we have a question here about there are applications done except for the GMAT results. Should they send that in before the February 1st deadline, or should they wait until they get the results?
I believe that they should submit, and our applications are reviewed by one of my colleagues, Justin. And if you're missing some of the components, they'll reach out to you to make sure that it's completed. So if you're expecting that you'll receive the GMAT results sometime in February, and you just want to make sure that you meet that deadline, you can submit in advance, and we'll make sure that you have all the requirements to move to the review process.
And this last question is very specific. I don't want to pit you two against each other. But pitch the 3C and the LCL program. If someone's thinking between those, like just one topic that you would sell them on.
I mean, both programs are brand new, so I think for the 3C program, of course, as I mentioned before, the opportunity of being in 3 continents during same amount of time. So during the 10 months that you get the opportunity to experience the Europe in the fall, US here now in January, and Asia in the spring, because the curriculum is going to be basically the same.
And in LCL, well, as I said, Luxembourg is a capital at the heart of Europe, so you would get to know people from all over the world, but in the same place,
Yes.
kind of.
without the miles of traveling.
Yeah, exactly. Less visa issues.
All right. Well, that is the last question we have here. if students have more questions, they can always send it in to scale@mit.edu. I'd like to thank all the panelists for coming and sharing your time. Why don't we go around and you guys can say goodbye and maybe a tip on the application or on maybe a pitch on why the program's such a great opportunity.
So if you're interested into pursuing your master at home and also completing the certificate with MIT, the GCLog is your program. You don't have to resign your job. You don't have to leave your families, or you can take them to the master programs in the other cases. And we're always welcoming all kind of profiles. So just apply anytime you're interested into.
Yeah, thanks for sending all of your questions. I think my big takeaway is when considering MIT's programs in supply chain management, really weigh the options between both the residential and the blended experience. Although the residential program is listed as 10 months, the reality is that the blended program may take you a little longer, actually, because you are completing the MicroMasters program in advance, and then you only have the 5-month component here. So if you are looking for like a quicker response and sort of that more of a job recruiting environment, and then you can consider the residential program. But if you want to stay within your current job and sort of pursue online education, you can do the blended program, which still gives you the opportunity to come to MIT in the spring term. So we're really just weighing those options, I think.
As far as MISI is concerned, I think, as I said earlier, I think Asia is a growing market. And basically there are great opportunities. There is absolutely a lack of supply chain talent in Asia. So as we discussed earlier, one of the roles that we play at MISI is to help with recruitment. And so because there's a lack of supply chain talent in Asia, that's an advantage for us to place the master students on the program. So I can only advise, and as I said earlier on, show us, if you don't meet all the criteria, show us something unique in your application and we will consider you.
Well, first, thanks for having so many questions about Luxembourg Center. I had to work a lot today. As I said, Luxembourg is a country where great opportunity lies. And if you would like to join for once in a lifetime experience for a year in study with us, I would be more than happy to receive and review your candidacies.
Perfect. So with us, you have 3 different opportunities that are open to you. I must say that Zaragoza is a student city. It's a very safe. It's a place that everybody like to be in. Like for the duration of the program, living expenses are not so it's a cheap city compared to other Spanish cities or other European cities. What's going to be key in the program is that you're going to be taught by top-notch professors, so you're going to acquire the skills that you will be needing for the job market afterwards. Diversity is also very key in our program, so not only in terms of nationality, which is very diverse, also age. We have recent graduates as long as people with more than 10 years of experience in the field. But I was going to tell you that the opportunities that we get through our sponsoring companies are huge as well. And since our programs are very small, and the new programs will see that also afterwards, is like our alumni are really key in helping us. So they help me a lot during the admissions process. They'll help us find new thesis projects and in the recruitment. So you will be joining a sort of family. So I'm more than happy to welcome applications from you. And if you have any questions, just please let us know.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, send any other questions to scale@mit.edu. And that is all for us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.